you feel yourself. Like I felt myself, my body was tensing up during that scene.
Mm-hmm.
We're doing all the artsy stuff for you here today at Breakfast All Day with our review of this year's Cannes Film Festival Palme d'Or winner, Anatomy of a Fall. Alonso, please tell us about it.
You're his wife.
Stop. I did not kill him.
That's not the point.
I'll tell you, Neon is now 3 for 3. They acquired Titan out of Cannes. They acquired Triangle of Sadness. This year they acquired Anatomy of a Fall. All three of them Palme d'Or winners. This one stars Sandra Hüller, who you might recognize from Tony Erdmann a few years back, and she's also starring this season in The Zone of Interest. So she plays an author who is living in Switzerland with her husband and their young son. The husband falls out a window and dies. And did he fall? Was he pushed? Therein lies the mystery. And Hüller's character is accused of murdering her husband. The movie is, for the most part, the trial, and lots of evidence is uncovered along the way, including a recording of an argument that the two of them had that can be interpreted in multiple different ways. Really, everything about this film can be interpreted in multiple different ways. It is a mystery in many levels in terms of not just, was a crime committed, was this fall premeditated, but also sort of the layers and inner workings of a complicated marriage and complicated parenthood. And it's you are not necessarily left with all the answers, but the exploration is gripping.
Did you like this movie?
I did. Did you?
I did, because it's a great conversation movie, and you and I are going to have a conversation about it without spoiling it.
Yes,
because there's so much to really marinate in here, and I think it's a great conversation starter for afterward. Like, everyone's going to have a different opinion of what went down, and there's literally, yes, and there's a great deal of trust here that Justine Triet has in her audience to just soak in it and to come to it with our own experiences and not spell everything out. I don't know that a lot of films that are about a death, a grisly death, would allow that. I think that there's a tendency in us as viewers to want satisfaction, to want answers, to want things to be black and white. And what's so daring about this film is that it like lingers in the gray areas in fascinating and troubling and exciting ways. And no matter what your relationship is like with your own spouse, partner, whoever, like, no one can ever know anybody else's marriage.
Exactly.
And a lot of films have explored that notion, and this one does as well. It establishes very efficiently off the top that these are sparkling people, glittering people, intellectuals, and that they had this thriving relationship, and that she in particular is a celebrated author. The beginning of it is really increasingly tense because she's being interviewed by someone who is not exactly fawning. And so Sandra Hüller plays someone named Sandra, and she's trying to like seduce this young woman in a way.
It's very flirty. Yeah.
It's very flirty. Right. And so it's about ego, about creative people being needy and needing reinforcement and all that. Not us here at Breakfast All Day, although we would love it if you'd subscribe.
And also, this is one of those movies that acknowledges that, like, in a film, especially where a crime is committed, like, you want to be like, well, this person is good and that person is bad. And these characters are so complicated and complex and rich with contradiction and things about them that are great and things about them that are terrible. And the way that the pieces are all kind of put together, the more we learn about them, the more enigmatic it all becomes. You can't help wanting to get to some sort of resolution or some sort of cathartic notion of like, okay, this person might have done X, Y, Z, but on the other hand, they also, have these things going for them. So maybe but then on the other hand, and so, I think any film that kind of acknowledges the sort of crazy tapestry of any human being and all the things that they can contain, that's rich drama, and that's what we get here.
We have talked a lot about Sandra Hüller in a multitude of roles, and she's getting a ton of awards buzz here, and justifiably so. But it's a great supporting cast as well. So Swann Arlaud, who plays her lawyer, is like fascinating to look at in like a Vincent Cassel kind of way. Like there's something about him that is like alien-like and weird but beautiful. Like it was like a beautiful angularity about him that you can't stop looking at him from every single angle, and the camera loves him. And there's a sort of a sparky, flirtatious, longtime friendship between the two of them that's very exciting. The kid who plays her son, Milo Machado, Graner, he's great too, because the wrinkle with his character is that he is visually impaired. And that's crucial to all of this because he's the only quote unquote witness to what may have happened, right? Yeah. And he's out with his dog, and they use the isolation of this place so effectively in terms of mood, in terms of mystery, in terms of resentment within this couple as to why they are out at this cabin. There's this spectacular long flashback in the middle of the courtroom scenes to this recording and to what may or may not have been a precipitating event here with the husband's death. They go to great pains to, I think, show that both people are right and both people are wrong. And that is fair and complicated and interesting, you know, and it's just a masterclass in acting from both of them here, because they have to really steadily ratchet it up and get under one another's skin. And you feel yourself, like I felt myself, my body was tensing up during that scene, not because I've had fights like that, but just because like the raw, honest emotion of that is so uncomfortable.
And you've been waiting so long to get there to really kind of peel back the layers of what was actually going on in this marriage. And when that moment finally arrives, it does not disappoint. But at the same time, it also doesn't provide all the answers because it is this messy, emotional thing.
Yeah. I also was very confused about like the logistics of French court structures. Like she just gets to stand up and talk sometimes.
Yeah, and like both lawyers can question her at the same time. Like it's very different from how we do things in the U.S. I want to mention Antoine Reinhardt as the prosecuting attorney is such a great prick. Yes,
so good. Yeah, it's just a really, really well chosen cast. And this movie evolves as a long movie. It's 2.5 hours long, but it's so engrossing, and it really evolves because you think it is one kind of genre, and over time it morphs into something else. And the ending is just perfect.
Yes.
Like, so the last shot you see is just perfect. And I think for a lot of viewers, it's going to feel maybe a little unsatisfying, but I found the ambiguity of it thrilling and bold.
And of a piece with the rest of the film. You know,
sure.
I think it would have been a cop-out to just sort of like tie it all up in a neat bow. I would say for viewers who think, ew, subtitles long, yeah, not my thing. Like, if you liked Gone Girl, this might be a movie that you would dig, I think.
Yeah, that's a really good analogy for sure. So what's your number?
9.2. This is really good. And I'm very excited to have seen it. And as we're, barreling into this end of the year where like all the great stuff starts coming out, my top 10 list just keeps moving around. So we'll see what happens. How about you?
I will say like an 8.7, 8.8, somewhere in there. So yeah, Anatomy of a Fall is in theaters October 13th today, New York and LA, but we'll go out wider. So like Justine Triet, not afraid of Taylor Swift.
No.
Like all the other movies are.
Full steam ahead. Like if you live somewhere where Triangle of Sadness eventually showed up, this one probably will too.